From breaking news in South Korea to stories from around the world, we're here to bring you the news that matters.
Truth, clarity, and impartiality. And that's what we uphold in a fast-changing world.
We go beyond the headlines, offering depth, context, and perspective.
This isn't just news, it's our commitment. News you trust. Arirang News.
The moment we wear it, our spirits lift. It helps us grow strong in body and in mind. As we wear it, we learn patience and respect. The belt system motivates students to strive harder and continue growing. This uniform shapes movement into grace and turns performance into something thrilling. Now, embraced around the world, Taekwondo shares our culture, philosophy, and values with pride and spirit. Though it may seem simple, this uniform holds your passion and your journey. It belongs to Taekwondo. Wear the extraordinary. Be with Taekwondo.
Kim Jong-un in China. On the eve of China's Victory Day parade, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly arrived in Beijing. It's his fifth visit to China and his first time attending a multilateral event. President Lee to make his United Nations debut. South Korea's presidential office says President Lee Jae-myung will travel to New York later this month for the United Nations General Assembly. He is scheduled to deliver a speech and chair an open debate. exploring new growth engines. President Lee Jae-myung led a rare live broadcast cabinet session on Tuesday where ministers pitched proposals to jumpstart South Korea's sluggish economy. Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening. I'm Song Yoo-jin filling in for Kim Da-mi. We begin tonight in China. As expected, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is believed to have arrived in Beijing after nearly a 24-hour train ride in his armored train. Now, according to South Korea's spy agency, Kim is expected to be treated well by Chinese President Xi Jinping as he makes his debut at a multilateral event. Kim Do-yeon has our top story tonight.
What looks like North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's armored train has been spotted stationed in Beijing, signaling his arrival in the Chinese capital for the 80th anniversary of Victory Day ceremonies. This came in at 4 p.m. Tuesday local time after earlier in the day, the North Korean Central News Agency confirmed that Kim had left for China on Monday. The military parade for the Victory Day, which is to be held on Wednesday 9 a.m., will be Kim's debut at a multilateral setting. His journey to Beijing, covering some 1,300 kilometers, reportedly took more than 20 hours due to the train's heavy armor and the state of North Korea's rail infrastructure. Seoul's National Intelligence Service briefed the South's lawmakers on Tuesday that Kim is expected to be treated at the same level as Russia's President Vladimir Putin.
He is expected to receive special treatment, including protocol and security, on par with that of Putin. The NIS projects that he will stand alongside Xi Jinping and Putin on the Tiananmen Gate rostrum during the September 3rd military parade. The NIS also anticipates a North Korea-China summit and a meeting between the leaders of North Korea and Russia.
Kim Jong-un is known to be accompanied by high-ranking officials, including Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee. There's also speculation that his wife Lee Seol-ju or his daughter Kim Ju-ae may be part of the delegation. Kim's official engagements are scheduled to begin Tuesday evening, ahead of the main military parade on Wednesday morning. A key point of focus is whether a trilateral meeting will occur between Kim, China's Xi Jinping, and Russia's Vladimir Putin. However, the NIS assesses that immediate three-way practical cooperation is unlikely due to international scrutiny. According to the agency, Kim's objectives include strengthening economic support from China and advancing security cooperation with Russia. The NIS also suggested the North Korean leader may seek Beijing's support in arranging another summit with U.S. President Donald Trump. While in Beijing, he is also scheduled to attend a cultural event on Wednesday evening along with approximately 20 other world leaders and representatives. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, before North Korean leader Kim Jong-un departed for China, he visited an ICBM research institute. There, he inspected production of a new high-powered solid-fuel engine for such missiles. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung has the details.
Ahead of his journey to Beijing to attend the Victory Day military parade, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited an intercontinental ballistic missile research institute. There, he reviewed the production of a new high-powered solid-fuel engine for ICBMs that he said would be used not only for the Hwasong-19, but also the next-generation Hwasong-20 ICBMs. This marks the first disclosure of the latest missile under development since the regime test-fired a Hwasong-19 ICBM last year, October. What's notable is that the new solid-fuel engine has a maximum thrust of 1,960 kilonewtons, roughly 200 tons of force. One expert says the reason behind regime increasing the thrust of the engine is to develop a much stronger ICBM.
The Hwasong 18 and 19 used a 140-ton thrust engine. Now that's been upgraded to 200 tons. With more thrust, the missile can carry heavier and more powerful warheads, or even multiple warheads to hit several targets at once.
Kim highlighted the new solid-fuel engine uses carbon fiber composite material. When solid fuel burns, it releases exhaust gases that give thrust to the engine. The nozzle where the gas comes out needs to withstand a lot of heat, and this is where the carbon fiber composite material is used.
Carbon composites are the best materials humans have made for withstanding high temperatures. North Korea probably got the basic materials from Russia and used those to develop their own advanced composites. This allowed them to create powerful rocket engines that they seem to be getting ready to use.
Kim showcasing plans for a new ICBM ahead of a trip to China where he will stand side by side with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin shows the regime's will to go against the U.S. with its developed missile production systems. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Now, back here at home, President Lee Jae-myung will address the United Nations General Assembly for the first time since taking office later this month to share his vision for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Now, he will also lead an open debate on artificial intelligence as chair of the UN Security Council. Here's our senior presidential office correspondent, Yoon Jung-min.
President Lee Jae-myung will attend the UN General Assembly in New York on September 23rd to address its 80th session.
President Lee will share with the international community the Republic of Korea's experience of overcoming a crisis of democracy and recovering from it. He will also present our government's vision and policies on key global issues, including the Korean Peninsula.
He is expected to lay out his vision for peace on the peninsula and resuming dialogue with North Korea. This as the leaders of North Korea, China, and Russia gather in Beijing this week for a Chinese military parade. Just last week, the heads of South Korea and the U.S. met and shared their thoughts on resuming dialogue with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Eyes are also on whether there will be another Trump summit, just 4 weeks after their first meeting, with U.S. President Donald Trump also set to address the UN chamber on the same day. This comes ahead of the upcoming APEC leaders meeting in South Korea's Gyeongju this October, where Trump is also expected to attend. And the meeting means more than just that for the South Korean leader, as he resumes multilateral summit diplomacy, 3 months after making his debut at the G7 summit in Canada.
President Lee will strengthen solidarity with the international community and carry out various diplomatic activities to enhance Korea's status as a responsible global power.
South Korea has assumed the rotating presidency of the UN Security Council for the month of September, and Lee will preside over an open debate on September 24th on AI and related global peace. He will be the first South Korean president to lead such a session as chair. The presidential office says it hopes this will serve to reaffirm Korea's global standing as a trusted partner and bolster its leadership in multilateral summit diplomacy. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
And staying at the presidential office, President Lee Jae-myung chaired a cabinet meeting today where a 2-hour discussion on South Korea's new growth engines was aired live. Take a look.
The second of President Lee Jae-myung's cabinet meeting discussions to be broadcast live centered on ways to boost South Korea's economic growth. President Lee opened Tuesday's session by highlighting encouraging figures from the domestic economy.
7월 산업 생산, 소비, 설비 투자가 나란히 증가세로 전환됐다고 합니다. 현장 민생과 직결된 소매 판매의 경우에는 소비 쿠폰 지급에 힘입어서 29개월 만에 가장 큰 폭으로 증가했습니다.
But he also sounded the alarm over the country's weakening potential growth rate, which is already in the upper 1% range and projected to dip to the low 1% range by the end of the decade.
적극 재정 그리고 생산적 금융을 양대 마중물로 삼아서 신기술 혁신 지원, 규제 개혁, 산업 재편, 인재 양성 등을 포괄하는 범정부 차원의 종합 대책을 신속하게 수립해서 추진해야 합니다.
That said, the floor was open to the ministers to weigh in on the challenges and possible solutions.
Our economy is under strain from a shrinking workforce, weak investment, and stagnant productivity, driving down growth potential. We've also fallen behind in AI and green transitions, while U.S. tariffs are reshaping global trade, leaving not only smaller firms, but even major corporations struggling.
The finance minister noted that a significant portion of next year's 728 trillion won budget will go toward artificial intelligence development.
We'll invest in AI infrastructure to help businesses and universities expand adoption more quickly. At the same time, well-trained top-tier talent develop a homegrown foundation model and establish AI innovation hubs in Gwangju and Daegu cities, and Jeollabuk-do and Gyeongsang-namdo provinces.
Another focus was adapting to the changing export environment shaped by the Trump administration's sweeping tariffs.
가능한 범위 내에서라면 수출 국가 다변화에 좀 주력을 좀 해야 될 것 같아요. 새로운 수출 국가 개발이나 수출 품목 개발을 좀 집중 지원하는 방식으로 차등을 두거나 아예 우선 지원하거나.
For example, the Korean wave has fueled strong demand in related sectors in the global south. We will work to reduce dependence on the U.S. market and enable our small and mid-sized firms to expand exports in these areas.
Tuesday's discussion reflected the president's commitment to prioritize stabilizing people's livelihoods and finding new growth engines following his back-to-back trips to the U.S. and Japan.
The new political season has officially begun with the first regular session of the National Assembly under the Lee Jae-myung administration kicking off on Monday. For politics and diplomacy, our National Assembly correspondent Moon Hae-ryun joins me in the studio to tell us more about the legislative battle now underway. Welcome, Hae-ryun.
Good afternoon, Eden.
Thank you for joining us. So, Hae-ryun, first tell us about the schedule ahead of the regular session of the National Assembly.
So on Monday, which was yesterday, the National Assembly began its first regular session under the Lee Jae-myung administration, and it's a 100-day journey that will see lawmakers tackle crucial issues and contentious legislation. So the session, which runs through early December, will be a defining moment for the Lee Jae-myung administration as it seeks to enact its key policy goals.
현재 국가적으로 수많은 난제들이 도사리고 있습니다. 민생 경제와 개혁 과제 추진에 있어서 여야가 함께 지혜를 모으고 국회와 정부도 그 길에 힘을 모으는 책임 정치가 필요합니다.
The schedule is packed for the month ahead. We'll hear speeches from the ruling Democratic Party on September 9th and the main opposition People Power Party on the 10th. And these addresses will lay out their respective visions for the nation and set the tone for the coming months. From September 15th to the 18th, a full-scale government questioning period will take place where lawmakers will grill cabinet members on everything from the economy to foreign policy.
Right, so leading up to this, we saw the ruling and main opposition party clashing over various bills that the ruling DP pushed through. So I want to ask you, what can we expect in this regular session?
That's right, and we can expect them to clash in this regular session too, as the DP pushes forward with its agenda while the PPP vows fierce resistance. And here's what the PPP's chairman had to say about the ongoing conflict.
There are many urgent issues affecting people's lives, but the National Assembly has not been doing its job, and I apologize to the public. While today marks the opening of the regular session, it seems that the ruling and opposition parties are still too far apart to work together.
And the most significant clash is expected to be over the national budget. The administration and the ruling party are pushing for a big spending budget of 728 trillion won, which is roughly $522 billion that they say is essential to revive the economy. They believe that despite short-term fiscal challenges, prioritizing economic recovery through a substantial injection of funds in key areas is essential to stimulate growth and improve people's livelihoods. However, the PPP has vowed to make major cuts. The opposition has zeroed in on several key targets, including the budget for a local gift certificates, a signature policy of the ruling party. They're also demanding a significant reduction in special activity funds allocated to powerful government agencies such as the Presidential Office, the police and the prosecution, citing a lack of transparency.
Right, and before we let you go, Hae-ryun, aside from the budget, what other areas can we expect as a source of conflict between the DP and the PPP?
That's right. So as you've said, the budget isn't the only source of the conflict, and the National Assembly in this regular session is set to become sort of a battleground of a set of highly controversial legislative proposals that's often referred to as the three reforms that the DP has made a top priority.
We will handle the three major reforms, the prosecution, media, and the judiciary, on schedule without delay. Reform is all about timing.
And first on the list is prosecutorial reform aimed at curbing the power of the prosecution service. The ruling party argues that the current system gives prosecutors too much unchecked authority, leading to political bias and abuse of power. The opposition, meanwhile, views this as an attempt to undermine the rule of law and protect powerful political figures. And next we have media reform, with the ruling party proposing legislation to hold broadcasters and news outlets more accountable for what they claim is biased reporting and misinformation. Opponents fear that this could be a direct assault on press freedom. And finally, there's judicial reform, with proposals to change how judges are appointed and hold them more accountable. The ruling party sees this as a way to ensure fairness and prevent political influence in the judiciary. The opposition, however, worries it could lead to the politicization of the courts. And in the coming months will determine not only the direction of the Lee administration's policies, but also the future of political cooperation, or the lack thereof, in South Korea.
All right, our National Assembly correspondent Moon Hae-ryun, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And staying at the National Assembly, confirmation hearings for the nominees for Education Minister and head of the Financial Services Commission were held on Tuesday. Now, ruling and opposition party lawmakers sparred over the qualifications and past comments of these nominees. Cha Yoon-kyung has more.
Lawmakers from the ruling and opposition parties sparred on Tuesday during the confirmation hearing of the nominee for Education Minister and Deputy Prime Minister for Social Affairs, Choi Kyo-jin. People Power Party representatives questioned Choi's qualifications and criticized him for past posts on social media supporting conspiracy theories about the sinking of the Cheonhan-ho warship, his drunk driving conviction, and derogatory remarks he made about the Busan region, while Democratic Party lawmakers defended Choi by highlighting his career as a three-term superintendent of education in Sejong. Choi offered an apology for all of his shortcomings. At the same time, a parliamentary committee held a confirmation hearing for the nominee for chairman of the Financial Services Commission, Lee Euk-won. The hearing was adjourned for 10 minutes after the ruling and opposition party lawmakers sparred over the potential dismantling of the Financial Services Commission. Main opposition People Power Party lawmakers insisted that, quote-unquote, the nominee acts as a demolition foreman sent to tear down the FSC, citing government and ruling party discussions on breaking up the country's top financial regulator. In response, ruling Democratic Party lawmakers argued that the reorganization, quote-unquote, has yet to be finalized and that the hearing should continue. After the confirmation hearing was resumed, Lee said he will revamp policies and regulations in a way that supports the role of financial companies. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
Now, in other news, a major shakeup hit South Korea's military leadership today. All 7 four-star generals who were in office during last December's martial law declaration have been replaced. Choi Soo-hyung walks us through the changes.
The government has announced a major reshuffle in South Korea's military, replacing all 7 of its four-star generals. Kim Jong-un, currently head of the Strategic Command, has been nominated for the top post of chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The Defense Ministry said Kim has held key positions in the Air Force and is considered the best fit as an expert in joint operations and force development. Chin will go through a confirmation hearing before his appointment is finalized, and if approved, it would mark the second time in a row for the position to be held by someone outside the army. Kim Gyu-ha, now head of the Missile Strategy Command and described by the government as an expert in defense strategy and joint firepower, has been named the Army Chief of Staff. Kang Dong-gil, a specialist in maritime operations and currently head of the Joint Chiefs Directorate of Military Support, will lead the Navy. In the Air Force, Son Seok-lak, recognized for his expertise in air operations and overseas education and training for the armed services, will serve as Chief of Staff. Other key appointments include Kim Sung-min as Deputy Commander, ROK U.S. Combined Forces Command, Chu Sung-un as Commanding General, Ground Operations Command, and Kim Ho-bok as Commanding General, Second Operations Command. With this, all 7 4-star generals who were part of the military leadership at the time martial law was declared last December have now stepped down. The Defense Ministry said the full replacement is aimed at bringing fresh leadership and quickly stabilizing the armed forces. Apart from Kim Jong-un, the other 6 were appointed by President Lee Jae-myung after a cabinet meeting on Tuesday. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
Now, finally tonight, on the cultural front, picture iconic stars from the 80s and 90s like the Spice Girls and Kylie Minogue teaming up with K-pop idols to reimagine their greatest hits. What happens when these two worlds collide? An Sung-jin shows us.
We've K-popped it.
What would it be like if the Spice Girls and Boyz II Men were K-pop groups? That's what a new reality show aims to find out. The show Kpopped was released last Friday, made by executive producers Lionel Richie and Megan Thee Stallion, and co-produced by CJENM. K-pop artists including ITZY, ATEEZ, Kiss of Life, and STAYC are paired up with global music legends like Kylie Minogue and Kesha to recreate some of their most iconic songs. 8 episodes have been released on Apple TV+, and every episode highlights the cover performance together and the precise K-pop style choreography, alluding to the title, Kpopped. Not only were popular songs like Savage, Say You'll Be There, Can't Get You Out of My Head performed with a K-pop twist to it, but the artists also tried wearing hanbok, tasted Korean food, and visited local spots. One expert says the show could give viewers a deeper understanding of the unique aspects of K-pop.
K-pop has a strong fandom, so not only does it have a persistent demand, but now they are trying out more new things.
According to Flix Patrol, which ranks TV shows and movies on the mainstreaming platforms, Kpopped ranked 4th for its global popularity and topped the chart in Korea. Following the craze for K-pop demon hunters, maybe Kpopped could be the next piece of K-pop content to make waves on streaming platforms. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Under the heat, 5 to 40 millimeters of showers will fall in the Jeollado provinces and western parts of Gyeongsang-do provinces tomorrow. In addition, light rain is expected in the center parts of the country, including Seoul, around dawn on Thursday. As we enter September, tropical nights have cooled down in most areas. However, heat wave warnings are still in place around the south and Jeju Island. In these areas, it feels close to 33 degrees Celsius. As the heat continues for the time being, there will be frequent showers under the heat as well. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Daegu, and Gyeongju will start off at 23 degrees, Chuncheon at 21 degrees. Highs will top out at around 30 to 32 degrees, very similar to today. Similar temperatures will continue throughout the rest of the week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
And that is Newscenter for this Tuesday. I'm Song Yujin in Seoul. For all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.
저희가 매일매일 자동차를 타고 일상생활에서도 쉽게 사용을 하는데 그런 자동차에서 타이어는 계속해서 버려지고 있거든요. 전 세계적으로 10억 개 이상 버려지고 있는데 특히 소각 처리될 경우에는 대기오염 물질들이 여러 가지가 나오게 되고 매립됐을 때는 지하수나 토양오염 물질들이 많이 방출되게 됩니다. 저희는 그런 타이어들을 어떻게 잘 처리할지 좀 고민을 했었습니다. 타이어가 가지고 있는 접지력이나 내마모성이 좀 우수하다고 생각을 했고요. 저희는 타이어 하나로 신발을 3.5켤레 정도를 만들 수가 있어요. 그렇게 됐을 때 저희의 신발 한 켤레는 타이어에서 발생되는 탄소를 8.9kg 정도 저감할 수 있는 그런 효과가 있습니다. 이 일을 시작하기 전에는 타이어가 그렇게 많이 버려지는지도 몰랐고 그리고 버려진 타이어들이 환경 파괴적으로 처분되는 것도 사실은 잘은 몰랐어요. 점점 더 적체가 되고 있거든요, 타이어들이. 시간이 지나면 지날수록 더 큰 문제가 될 것 같다는 생각에 지금 일을 하고 있습니다. 타이어마다 모양이나 패턴이 굉장히 많이 다양한데 내가 가지고 있는 신발이 다른 신발들과 모양이 다를 수 있다는 점, 그런 점도 제 재미 요소로 좀 다가가고 있습니다. 저희도 그런 계기를 보다 많은 분들께 하나 더 제공해 주고자 매일매일 신는 신발을 만들겠다고 한 것도 있어요. 조금 더 주변을 살펴보면은 나 스스로도 조금 더 환경 보호에 참여할 수 있는 일이나 물건들이 더 있지 않을까, 그렇게 찾아보시면 어떨까 싶습니다. 나는 다시 달릴 수 있게 만드는 그리너입니다.
도시는 세계와 연결되어 문화를 창조했고 새로운 것을 받아들였다.
함께여서 우리는 더 자유롭고 더 멀리 갈 수 있어.
닫힌 문이 아니라 열린 질문으로.
나에게 에이펙은
자유,
융합,
국제성,
다양성, 포용,
개발.
신라의 정신이 에이펙 2025로 이어집니다.
Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. The 11th Global Korean Politicians Forum kicks off today in Korea, bringing together elected leaders of Korean heritage from around the world. The focus, how diaspora leadership is shaping international policy, identity, and cooperation. Among this year's participants is Mr. Paul Choi, the first Korean-Canadian elected to British Columbia's governing body, now serving as Parliamentary Secretary for Asia-Pacific Trade. From cultural diplomacy to regional trade, Mr. Choi represents a new kind of diaspora leadership rooted in community but increasingly global in scope. Tonight, we invite Mr. Choi, a member of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia and Canada, to speak about the forum, Korea-Canada relations, and what's next for Korea political influence abroad. A big welcome, Mr. Choi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So let's start right away. You're here for the Global Korean Politicians Forum, of course. What does it feel like to be a part of this year's gathering? And also, I would like to ask, what were the conversations that were standing out the most?
I absolutely feel honored to be one of the politicians invited around the world to take part in this forum. It's my first time attending once I was elected last year, and I think it's personal pride that we all carry, knowing that we have Korean roots, but be able to come together and share different identity and connection we have. I know there are some participants who are here who are visiting for the first time and learning about Korea and what it means to be Korean. And I know that it's this sort of network that we're going to have by connecting with everyone around the world, but sharing the Korean heritage. That's the connection that's going to be really special, and ensure that we have different representation, different inclusiveness, and combat different discrimination that we sometimes face when we're working in different parts of the world.
Very important, right?
Yes.
It's definitely a very meaningful gathering. Could you also tell us from your perspective, how do you see this forum contributing to the global influence of Korean political voices? And also at this, kind of global uncertain time, what is the role of Korean leadership?
Yeah, it is something that I feel that we can bridge East and West perspective. And we have shown in Korean history that we have resiliency and we have adaptability. And I believe that is something we can bring to the world stage. And it is something that I see it's really cultural as well, that's embedded in us in Korean as immigrants. We work hard and we value family, we value community, and we have this chung that is hard to define in a sort of Western world, but it is something that really you feel. It's hard to sort of express, but you just feel when you meet someone like that.
Right, so it seems like, global influence, especially grounded in our cultural identity, is growing even more and more. Now let's turn to your personal experience. You're the first Korean member of BC's governing body and the first Korean parliamentary secretary as well. We must ask, how did you initially enter Canada's political arena?
Yeah, it's not something I was planning to get into, or it wasn't something that I had it as a goal. When I first moved there, I moved there when I was a child, when I was 10 years old, with my parents, and we were a very typical immigrant family. We started at a small convenience store to ensure we can, make ends meet and also get our PR, permanent residency status. And as we were doing that, I got to see face to face up front what different discrimination and racism was. We had a little pub beside the convenience store, and we would have people come, drunk and would steal stuff and vandalize the store. And I wanted to do something that is going to help and support my family and friends around me. And so that's what led me to apply to be a police officer. And as I was working as a police officer, there were a lot of international students that was in our community. that I had the fortune of helping them out a lot. And as I was doing that, I realized that I wanted to see if I can help them more, not just help them on the street, but also help them when they enter the court system. And that's why I decided to go back to law school and become a lawyer and became a Crown prosecutor and was helping them in the courtroom as well. But even at that point, what I realized was, as I was helping these victims, if I felt like there was a rule or law that was different, then I could help them more. That was just personal curiosity that I had. It wasn't, that wasn't a point where I decided, well, I'm going to run for office and change the law. I was just kind of supporting and volunteering and try to support my community as much as possible. As one of the things I did was to volunteer as a president for a Business Improvement Association, which included a Koreatown in Coquitlam Burnaby border in BC. And as we were doing that, we would host community events. And in those areas, we had some politicians that would attend. And so I got to know some of them. And when there was election, they came to me and approached me and said, you'd be great. We would love to have you join as part of the team and run. And so I decided to, run and see how much impact I can have, especially with the practical experience I have on the streets and courtroom. I felt that maybe I can offer something of value at the policy-making level.
Wow, so from a 10-year-old boy, then to a police officer, and then a lawyer, and then a politician. Well, it definitely seemed to be a long journey, but you made it.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So now with this big role, of course, it comes with added visibility, of course. And many now see you as a central figure in the growth of the Korean-Canadian community as well. What does it mean to you personally and politically to be recognized as a key voice for that community?
It's something that I don't feel still. I don't feel like I'm someone who's a central figure, but I'm very humbled to have people believe in me, to trust in me, to be able to support me in this role. And that's why it's very humbling, and also I believe it's only possible because of those around me and the first generation, like my parents, who were there to pave the road for me. Politically, I think it adds responsibility to ensure that I amplify the Korean voices at provincial and international stage. And that's why I was the first one to shout 대한민국 만세 in the parliament near the 3.1, because I wanted to ensure that I let people know in the province that even though we are right now known for a lot of K-pop, K-beauty, K-movies and dramas, which is great, but there's also other side of Korea that people may not be aware of, that we have this long history, that we have this resiliency, we have this ability to overcome difficulties and adversaries. And in this current uncertainty in times, I believe that is something we can harness to ensure that we have more global peace.
Wow, that was definitely a very proud moment for many of us.
Thank you.
Now, so maybe that's the reason that you've led various efforts to, spread Korean culture in Canada as well. Could you share for us some of those efforts, and also what's driving you to do so?
Yes, I had the fortune to try a lot of different things in my community. Right now, we are trying to preserve the Koreatown that's been in existence for the last 20 years. With a lot of developments going on, the Koreatown that started at its height, about 11 blocks long, it's kind of withered down to about a block and a half now. So I'm really trying to push to ensure that we are preserving the K-Town by officially recognizing and declaring as a heritage Koreatown from the city of Burnaby. And that's almost passed, and it should be passing the final stage in about a month. And I am also declaring for the first time a Kimchi Day in our province. And that event is happening in about 5 days, actually, in September 5th. So that is really exciting to showcase our Korean cuisine, not just kimchi, but other Korean food as well, that is very popular. Also, I forward a Korean Heritage Month Act in the Parliament, and that is at the final stage, and it's expected to pass in about a month, and it will declare October each year to be a Korean Heritage Month that we will celebrate. And I'm also currently at this point planning for a Korean Heritage Festival in the Parliament where we'll have showcase a lot of Korean food, Korean arts like K-pop and Taekwondo, and share a bit more about Korean heritage to the people in the Parliament around the world.
Wow, so it seems like a lot of efforts to, experience Korea in Canada.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Right, that's definitely very applaudable. So it seems as though the Canadian people are now a little bit more open to Korean culture.
Yes.
Possibly also thanks to these kinds of efforts. Could you, at this point, could you tell us, of course this year marks the 62 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries. Could you evaluate the relationship, how it stands today, and what more is needed to, better strengthen the relationship?
Absolutely. I think it's very strong and it's growing right now. There's a lot that we share in value. There's a lot of democratic values, people-to-people ties that we have, and also veterans' legacy that we share from Korean War. Right now, we have Strategic Partnership Action Plan that was entered into in 2022. And there is a lot of expanded education and youth exchanges. I personally have fortunate to be able to host a lot of Gyeonggi province students that visited this summer and share different cultural experiences and share different values that we have. And in June, I also visited Korea with our premier and was able to share a lot of different things like signing an MOU between different universities. And there is a lot of times where we were able to meet with a lot of in the Canadian companies here in Korea, and ensure that there is a lot of synergy that exists between Korean companies and Canadian companies in that way as well. But as you said, there is a lot more we can do. And I think we can expand parliamentary exchanges and deepen our cooperation in green tech and AI and critical supply chains. And I think we can sign more sister city or province agreements between different cities. I had the fortune to visit Asan last week, where one of my cousins lives. And it is a very big on export and import business there, and I think that city might be one of the city that would be great to sign a sister city agreement with city in Canada. So that's something I will look into when I get back into Canada.
Right, so expanding parliamentary exchanges and also, economic industries as well, and also possibly some local government exchanges would be very helpful on that. Now, let's also touch upon the economic side. 2025 actually marks 10 years since the Korea-Canada FTA took effect. For you, what does this milestone actually represent, and how do you see this agreement evolving?
I think it shows a very strong ties that Canada and Korea has. Korea was actually the very first FTA that Canada has entered into in all of Asian countries. So we are very proud of that. And because of that, since then, we have doubled our bilateral trade. over the decade. And there's a lot of opportunity there with agriculture, seafood, clean energy, and Korean auto tech sectors. I had the fortune in June to come and visit and meet with the CEO of gov't, who is one of the big investor in our LNG Canada projects. And the first shipment was actually received by gov't last month. So I think it is a symbol of how much we have come. But I think there's a lot more we can do in that area as well. So I know that digital trade and sustainability is one of the big issues right now. And we can strengthen SME participation in cross-border issues as well as we go forward.
Right. So it seems like a big milestone, and it makes us, expect more for the decades to come. Now, looking to the multilateral stage, the APEC leadership meeting will soon take place in Gyeongju in South Korea, with Canada, of course, attending. What kind of significance does this meeting hold for Canada, especially in today's global dynamics?
I think it's really important that it is being held in Korea. We currently see Asia-Pacific region as Canada's largest trading region after US. And Korea hosting it we see it as a natural partner to Canada in that sense. It's a great platform to advance inclusivity and rule-based growth. And just to highlight a few things, Canada is contributing to $2 million to APEC's programs to ensure that there's inclusivity and sustainable growth. And there is, to ensure that there is, reaffirm our commitment to peace and rule of law, and then ensure that we support stability in that sense as well. We know that there is ABAC Toronto, so it's APEC's Business Advisory Council. That meeting was held in Toronto, showing that Canada is surging on AI and biotech and EV supply chains as well. So it shows that we can co-lead in different supply chain resiliency in Asia-Pacific region. And it shows that Canada and Korea alignment well in joint push for energy and critical minerals and defense cooperation as well, of course.
So Canada is investing a lot in this APEC as well and has a lot of expectations. So what is Canada's, we call it goal, right? Or what is Canada actually hoping to achieve at this APEC?
So we're hoping to reinforce Indo-Pacific strategy that we have with partners like Korea to diversify our economic partnership around the world and put our efforts into where it's growing. And we know that Indo-Pacific economic region is one of the fastest growing area right now, and it is expected by 2040 it will be the biggest economic region in the world. And we want to advance the FTA-AP pathway discussions as well, and build coalition on climate and green energy economy as well. So carbon neutral trade is something we are hoping to see a lot there, and position Canada as the trusted, reliable partner in this turbulent economy right now.
So, Mr. Choi, we had a very interesting discussion today, but before we finally let you go, one last question. So, as someone who's bridging two nations, what kind of message do you hope Korean political leaders abroad could carry forward in, shaping global diplomacy and their community impact as well?
I want to carry forward the resiliency that we have as Korean immigrants around the world. I think that's needed more than ever right now. And I want to use the Korean values that we have of relying on genuine information that we have, the family and community connection to inspire inclusive politics worldwide. As an example, when I met with the gov't CEO, we found out that we're both Chessy, we're both Chois. And so we obviously asked, which Choi are you? And it turns out we were same. And she she was also stationed in Yuseong in Daejeon for a few years, number of years there. And so it's that sort of connection, I believe, it's really special. It's really hard to put it in a tangible way, but it is something that's really important because it creates that immediate, deeper bond that it's so helpful when you're trying to work through different issues and to see how our different interests can align for two nations. So I think it is that our collective voice is stronger together so that our leadership can be guided in both tradition and innovative way as we go forward.
A very powerful note to end on. Mr. Choi, thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, your work, and your vision as well. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.